all back to the podcast. Welcome. Thank you for
Hello.
coming back to another episode. Today we have a very special guest of no one, just us.
Well, that's special. That's
That
special.
is special. I agree. But no, we got some things we want to talk about. This is going to be less of a singular topic and more of a few things sort of all conjoining together. So bear with us as we jump around a bit today. But I say you should go first over me.
Age before beauty, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, the title would be Panic on YouTube. Um, I spend a lot of time on YouTube to learn. I like to look at cooking shows. I like to follow the news on YouTube, fix it on YouTube. I find it very, very informative. Uh, Takes up a good portion of my time, but I think it's productive time. But for the last few months, I get off of YouTube and I get a little panic feeling. And let me explain why. Not that I'm scared or anything like that, but I tend to read into things. I think I have at least average intelligence, and once I hear about something, I explore it on the internet. Now, recently, we've government and individuals, whistleblowers, have talked about aliens. And it was all over the internet, all over YouTube. And right away, a lot of people were starting to say, yeah, there are aliens. Oh, they may be coming here. Oh, that would be great. Oh, that's scary and all that. But we were alienated with an abundance of videos from various people on YouTube, all about aliens, uh, secret things that are supposed to be secret, secrets that are held back from us. So that in itself can not only just be puzzling, where you want to find out more information, but it can cause a panic. Uh, you have any comment on that, Peter?
uh a small one, which is we know that the whole government announcing that the aliens thing is more of a ruse so that they can do something else, which is like start a small war. We know it's a political move. It's not actually them whistleblowing because the whistleblower had to get approved by the Pentagon to release this information. So it is a political move to ignore something else that they're going to do. And the people on YouTube are capitalizing because conspiracies do sell. So,
Okay. Then, uh, in the past 2 weeks, there are dozens and dozens of videos from silver and gold dealers, where in the past there'd only be one, two, or three. And they were talking about you got to buy gold, you got to buy silver. Now, everybody who knows that we have paper money and our paper money is being printed whenever we need more money, we do know that basically our paper money is like toilet paper with a picture on it. And it's like when we pray to God or we think of God, it's having faith in our system of, what our money is valued at. Now, all these podcasts and all these YouTube videos are dealing with gold and silver as if by first they're starting to say by the end of the month, our dollar is going to crash. Now, since 1963, I believe, our dollar has not been backed by gold. And they've been talking about how the BRIC nations, that's Brazil, Russia, India, and China, are trying to form a new currency and trying to bring in other countries to have new standard currency instead of the US dollar. So I think they brought in France. There might be possibly 12 countries that might decide to use their own currency as a basis for trade and other things, not and get rid of United States greenbacks, the dollars. So people are kind of worried. And they'll show on YouTube a picture of our $100 bill disintegrating. And as we already know now, I think that in 1920 our dollar was worth 100% of the dollar, and now its buying power is maybe 3%.
Hmm.
So that's kind of thing to panic. So, you know, I have a very good background in finance, but I don't know what's happening. I'm taking a look at the gold and the silver. People buying coins, bars. Uh, they're talking about how China has bought hundreds of thousands of pounds of gold and is trying to destroy our dollar market, and that we're headed for a disastrous economic thing occurring with our currency, and shortly, if not a little longer. So that makes me panic because a lot of us already, youths and older people who have saved money or are trying to save money, realize, like you've said in the past, it can buy very little as time goes by with our dollar. So that's another thing that can make people panic. And like I said, I have uh, a reasonable amount of intelligence uh, about. I used to trade in foreign currency. I don't know shit from Shiola anymore. But the American loss of dollar value really scares me because I don't know what's truth and what's fiction. What do you think?
I think there's a variety of things to discuss here. One, the fact that you don't know what's truth and what's fiction is a result of two things. One, specifically people who are trying to spread misinformation will flood the market and flood the internet with everything and anything so that the truth and the misinformation get muddled up in there so that it is harder to find. Um, but also it comes down to media literacy as well, knowing that you use .org sites and .gov sites and educational websites, and you don't go on Joe's Crab Shack and news.com to get where you're getting news articles from. Just because Joe's Crab Shack and news.com is saying buy gold and silver doesn't necessarily mean it. But if you've got, Associated Press, BBC, PBS talking about it, then maybe, okay, then that's different. Simultaneously, you run into the fact of if they're talking about it, it's probably too late, but besides the point. Misinformation is everywhere, because it's easy to sell and people believe it. In terms of the panic, I'm not super panicked because like my whole life has been based around these panics and these problems, right? When I was 3, it was 9/11, but after that we had the recession, and then after that we had what was it, the Afghan war, and then uh, when was the no, that wasn't that one. Um and we got COVID. I lost my early 20s to COVID. I lost my college years to COVID. Still don't have a job 833 applications later. So like there's not much for me to panic about because I'm not losing much. Um but I think in general the idea of panicking um is not by design. That's more that's getting a bit conspiracy, but I would say the concept of panicking is easy to manipulate. So if you start panicking, you're easy to manipulate and you're easy to feed the wrong information. So especially in a time like this is not a time to panic. This is a time to pay attention. This is a time to read from actual sources and listen. Stop talking, stop making moves. Don't panic buy gold unless you've got the extra cash and you just want to, sure. But do the work, do the research. Don't go on New York Times or New York Post. I mean, don't trust these half-assed news places. Go do the research and pay attention. Don't watch it on the news. If you're going to watch the news, take it with a grain of salt. If you're going to read the articles, take it with a grain of salt. But do the research on proper places, not just Joe's Crab Shack and news.com.
You see, the
But yeah,
problem is there are some reputable people on YouTube who are giving information out that can be scary.
yes, of course. And that's absolutely, the information can be coming from a reputable source. It could be 100% reliable and factual, evidence-based, and it's still scary. Doesn't mean panicking's the answer. It like it we are factually coming to the end of an empire. Historically, empires end around 250 years. Factually, historically, every empire ever that has been a massive, long-standing one has gone for about 250 years. America's at, I think, 247. I think we made a podcast about this like
Yeah,
a couple months ago. But so if we are following historical, history doesn't repeat itself. It doesn't copy, it rhymes, right? So we're not the Roman Empire, we're America, but we are hitting our 250-year mark. So if we really are on the downhill slope and this is the start of it, okay, you're not going to single-handedly save the country. And even if you tried, why would you? The system is broken. The housing market is garbage. People can't afford anything. You said it yourself, the buying power is 3%. No one can do anything right now. Politicians are lobbied by billionaires and millionaires. People aren't feeling represented. There's rampant racism, misogyny, and problems within every department. People that are supposed to protect and serve us are racially profiling and shooting people because they've had an attitude that day. I mean, this is not a society conducive to advancements and health. So I'm not sitting here going, yes, down with everything, burn it to the ground. I would love for there to be an easier way to do it. So I'm not going, at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and go, no, we have to save it. There's nothing to save. There's nothing to save. None of this benefits like 80% of people.
okay.
But I would say in terms of the panic, there's just no reason to. I made a video. I was half joking about it, but it relates to this. Someone was recording. They were on a flight, and the plane, quote unquote, dropped out of the sky for like whatever certain amount of feet. Pilot says, someone in the comments said, the planes don't actually drop out of the sky. It feels like it because the plane just dips a little bit. But everyone in the flight was like screaming, and I stitched it, which is where you play the first 5 seconds and then my video plays. And I was half joking, being like, why the hell are people who think they're dying so noisy? If you're going to die, just die in peace. Because really, if you're on a plane strapped in, right? And this plane is falling and you're like, there's no shot, you're going to die. What? This is not Monsters Inc. Screaming isn't going to power the plane. You're going down. So just close your eyes and take it.
Like they say, put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye.
Yeah. Well, but like, right. And it's just like, and it was a half joke because I'm like, well, personally, I don't think I'm going to be screaming. I've been in panicked situations and I never screamed. I actually get the opposite. I get very quiet. And so, and I was cracking jokes like, oh, I'd get pissed off. I'd die pissed off because the people who were screaming. But like, similar situation, right? In terms of what we're talking about. If the country's going to go down, if everything's supposed to explode, right? We've got strikers in the UPS and shipping. We've got strikers in the writers, actors, directors. There's who was it? There was a major group that's supposed to be striking or going to start striking this week. It was like a major demographic of people. I don't think it was electricians. It was something else. Some other like important group aside from UPS and shipping and truckers. It was someone else. Fuck me. I forget who else it was, but like this is the first time, at least in my life, that I have heard of so many unions and people striking because they don't feel they're adequately paid and they don't feel their health and their benefits and so forth are being adequately given to them. So that, along with the housing market, along with the money, along with all these other things, yeah, it feels like we're on a downhill sprint. We're not just like rolling downhill. We're on a downhill sprint. But again, what are you going to do? You know, don't just go about your day, your mundane day, and go, it's bound to happen on that. Hold on, I just want to open this because it's a bit sunny out and I want some sun in my room. Yeah, don't go like and just act like everything's normal, but simultaneously just do your research, prepare yourself, and participate where you feel necessary. But it's a group effort. That's the core of what I'm trying to get at. It's a group effort.
Okay.
Society's
So
going to
what
change because of everyone, not just because 5 people are screaming.
Yeah, like they said, Nero played his fiddle and laughed while Rome burned.
Mm-hmm.
We have a situation here where so many things may not cause you to get into panic, but I just used the title "Panic" on YouTube because I'd like to see more positive things. But we have, like I said, China, Russia, the BRIC countries, North Korea threatening world war. That's not something that will scare us like Russia and Cuba when Kennedy was president. With them saying they're going to bomb us. Khrushchev said they're going to bomb us from Cuba, but it's all the things that make us think. With North Korea saying they got the weapons that will attack us.
Yeah, whatever. Again,
I know, but
it's all panic inducing, and the correct answer is to walk away, calm down, come back, and then make a level-headed decision. Because any decision you're making while panicked is just not it's not it.
Correct.
There was
now we got
I watched a podcast with Jay Shetty and Tom Holland, and he brings up how when he was a Buddhist monk for a few years, that they learned how to make decisions based off of how to identify and then make decisions based off these 3 things. Give me 12 seconds. I need to reread it because I don't want to get the wording wrong.
Okay, so I'll talk about something while you're doing that. Then we also have, the
Okay.
fires in Hawaii.
Okay.
Which I'll talk about when you're finished.
So he said that they learned how to identify when you are making decisions through ignorance, passion, and goodness. Ignorance is when you are feeling bits of fear or aggression or some form of lack of knowledge, right? Passion is when you are focused on the result and the desire. So you're doing this only for the money, or you're doing this only for to get her to come to bed with you, right? Like that's the passion. And then goodness is you're doing it out of love. You're doing it because you are you are content and you feel very at peace with the choice. It could happen, it couldn't happen, and you're okay with making this choice. The
Mhm.
one you want to strive for is obviously the one of goodness, and they learned how to distinguish from the other two.
Interesting.
And so similarly, I would say that applies to this situation of like, if your first instinct is to go buy gold because if you stop and go, well, why do I want to buy gold? Well, because this guy said so. Why? Because we're
That's
panicking.
ignorance. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So now stop and separate and then make a decision. If your
Mhm.
decision is based on fear or it's based on the result of, oh, I want the gold so that I can have gold, and it's like, and then I can look powerful. It's like, well, if you're buying gold because you might find a useful piece but you don't necessarily care or not, that's different. But not convincing yourself, because everyone can convince themselves. You understand? It comes with a level of honesty with oneself as well as awareness. So, yeah, anything that's based in panic and fear makes you easy to manipulate, easy to sell, um, and easy to buy into things. So, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. So then I was alluding to fires in Hawaii, the smoke in Canada and California. I got off the phone with my friend Fred, who lives in Hawaii. Luckily, it's in the island Honolulu, and he's not. When I spoke to him 3 days ago, he wasn't being impaired by what's happening in Hawaii with the smoke and the fire, but it's still happening, and it never happened
not to,
before.
and you want to know the worst part? The absolute worst part of all that fire in Hawaii, it's not the people's houses who were burned down. It's the major entrepreneurs and companies that have been calling families whose houses have just burned down days ago. These companies are calling and not asking, but pushing them to sell their land so that these companies can build hotels, apartments, and money making machines for tourism.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure
These
about that,
companies
but
and these people, no, there's news articles about it. There are people who have, they have companies' names and people's names.
okay.
It's horrendous. It is the most disgusting and lowest form of humanity. Any of those people who made those calls, truly, I hope you experience the lowest pits of hell, because that is just disgusting. These people quite literally lost family members, their homes, everything. And your first instinct is, this is a great time to make profit. This is a great time to build a hotel on your dead family's house, burn down house, my bad. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
horrendous.
When we had to crash in the United States, the crash of dollars, Japan came in, bought a whole bunch of properties in Japan,
And then we
uh,
bombed
far,
them.
uh, and foreign nations started to buy things in the United States. But what bothers me is these things that are happening. Canada's smoke came all the way to New York and New Jersey, as you saw, and now we have the extreme heat. I'm outside. It's a cooler day today in Florida, where I live. It's only 97, but it has been. Yesterday was 104. Day before 106. The water is 100. Uh, Usually August 1st, I put up these equivalent of Kevlar shields on my windows, have it put up in case we do get a hurricane and I have to evacuate because I can't do it the last minute. And now what's great is it's serving to keep some of the heat out so that my air conditioner doesn't overwork and stay cool. But
That's pretty good.
yeah, but again, we always had the threat of hurricanes this week in Florida. In some sections, we may have high volume rain and possibly storms, not hurricanes. So, the magnitude of things that are occurring that are like natural disasters,
Oh, they're
possible
getting way
shortage,
worse.
shortage of water. Um,
It was
th-
what this year it's been the hottest it's ever been on Earth, period, ever.
yeah,
This summer was like, or this July was the hottest temperatures the Earth's ever seen.
yeah. And then we have this Ukraine war with Russia that's been going on and on and on. And like we
Yeah,
discussed,
that's the Afghan war. That's just profit at this point. They're not like
yeah, but
not to diminish what's going on actually over there, but there is a America's only involved because it's profit. They're not actually involved to help people. They're never involved to help people. They're only involved if, like Japan, they go, "Hey, we're gonna fuck up your people," or they go, "Hey, we can make a profit."
I think
So
Ukraine has the largest army in that part of Europe. And right now, Poland, I think, just sent 10,000 troops um, because they're concerned that Belarus is going to attack them when Wagner troops are going to attack them. So, we're engaged in that, and there's problems in Africa where 1 million people are being uh, killed in Africa by tribes, and there's rioting and revolution. And then on the home ground here, we have right now we have the people with signs uh, who are very pissed off about our Governor DeSantis with his educational philosophies. And I once said where it parallels a lot of what Hitler did with the books and
oh, absolutely.
you know t-
It's very, very, very blatant that he is paralleling a lot of Hitler and Germany's stuff before he tried to,
yeah,
explode
and
into fame.
yeah, he's not going anywhere anyway because uh, the fact is we still have, like panic. We still have an indicted president, multi-indicted president.
Mm.
And when I talk to people down here, because they're Trumpites, and they still say this is all manufactured.
I
And
know the conspiracy
yeah,
hole goes 1,000 feet into the dirt. They will
yeah.
never give it up. It's so fake. There, it's
But
all so
but
funny.
I saw where he's not going to be brought up on trial or in the courts till March, April, and May of next year.
Yeah,
So all
that's
this,
the point is to push it off because he knows he's going to lose. Like he knows he's going to get caught. And so what he's hoping for is being able to gain some extra power somewhere or something, and people might forget about it and he can hide it. That it's litigation, right? It's just extending it until the end of time. And
yeah, and
that's
what
what
it,
he's used to doing when he used to be a businessman. He used to just put it into litigation and then they would give up. You can't give up when you're dealing with the with the national
yeah,
government.
that's right. But the problem is uh, it's ongoing, and
Yes.
the more logs you throw on the fire, the angrier you get his followers, and we're in a very, very, very delicate state in the United States politically, and we got to be careful because we could be in a pre-revolutionary state politically. Um, and then
Oh, absolutely.
the last thing is, well, two last things. One, I read briefly where there's a new strain of COVID that is coming. I think it's
Love it.
called Eris, and uh,
Sounds like a Marvel god.
yeah, it does. It does. I mean, I finally took my mask off when I go into Publix or public places, and now I'm starting to see as I take my mask off, people are putting their masks on. And I wanted to. I saw my one of my friends yesterday, and he was walking his two dogs, and I was going over to pet his dog. He says, "No, no, don't come near me. I got COVID." He says, "It's almost gone." He says, "But stay away. I don't want you to, catch anything." And again, another thing to think about, doesn't mean panic, but I use the word panic because when you start getting multiple things on YouTube or multiple literature or multiple things you read about that are negative, it causes your mind to panic a bit. And the last thing, you can come in on all of this after this one. The last thing that's pissing me off, and I know it pisses you off, is we're sending all this money overseas to protect ourselves with the war. I know we're going to have to send more money into the Ukraine and to Poland and to the European nations. And if our dollar gets devalued, we're going to have a problem. And we're supporting their war. And here we are. We have trillions of dollars in debt, which we never can get back unless we print more and more money. And student loans can't be paid for. Healthcare can't be given for free. Education can't be given for free. So as a country, I look at this, and I think we're the greatest country in the world, but I'm starting to not panic, but starting to say, oh my God, Rome is burning. And
We
I don't like it.
we haven't been the greatest country in the world for many decades.
Well,
Hands down, many decades. There are
no.
so many other countries out there that have been doing so much better for decades.
Yeah.
No one's perfect. No one's perfect. Not saying anyone's perfect, but there have been so many other countries that have been so much better, and they're just quieter about it. That's the thing. Anyways,
So that's it. I'm finished with my end. Do you have anything to say about what I just talked about?
first off, Eris, there is a Marvel hero. His name is Eros, and he is played by, he's supposed to be Thanos's brother. Spoilers, sorry. You see it in the Eternals movie. He's Harry Styles. But his name is Eros, Eros. I was like, it sounds too familiar. I looked it up. Yeah, it is. It is a
That's
Marvel
funny.
superhero. Yeah. Country hasn't been the greatest in many decades. Yeah, I feel that. COVID, whatever. Fucking whatever. I don't care. Like, okay. I was a masker. Like I was very careful, especially now I have to be careful being immunocompromised. I have to be more careful. But like I never had a problem wearing the masks. So I don't really care if I have to wear the masks again. Because I'm not one of these fuck asses who only breathes through their mouth and goes, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I need my neck gaiter. And they just put up a different mask, but because it's not an actual mask, they can breathe through it and they get to wear their little skull neck gaiter looking badass. Whatever. I don't care. I don't mind. Yeah. Like, again, I'm not panicking because there's nothing, I haven't gained anything to lose anything. The only thing I stand to lose is my healthcare and my shots for my medication. Outside of that, well, not even, because worst case scenario, I just get dry skin again. Like, you know what I mean? Well, there's more to it than that. It makes me more susceptible to cancers and my joints go. But like, for the most part, it's just dry fucking skin. Who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Worst case scenario, if the world starts to implode, the last fucking thing that I'm gonna be giving a shit about is, oh no, my dry skin. I'm gonna look like an ugly bastard for the rest of my life. I don't give a fuck if it turns into The Walking Dead. That's the last thing I care about. So
yeah, they showed on YouTube, I think it was in Vermont or Massachusetts and San Francisco, all the druggies walking around. They said that is The Walking Dead. It's actually The Walking Dead in those areas, in those certain areas, because they're so influenced by the drugs.
yeah.
So we also
Vermont.
have a big, we also have a big drug problem in our country, and homeless. The most homeless
Homeless could be paid off in a
in the
single
world.
year. yeah, but that's all bullcrap. Homelessness could be fixed with one aircraft carrier that they have in the ocean. We have like 7 of the 11 that are in the world, or 7 of the, or 8 of the 14, something along those lines, of those long boats that hold like 12
It
fighter
would
jets on them.
take more than that.
No, it's been calculated. You sell one of those and it will pay
Oh,
to put
sell. I thought you said putting the homeless on there and sinking it. No,
no and sinking
no.
it. No, my God. No, sell one of those, one of our 7, and it pays to end homelessness, ends homelessness, period. Puts them in a house or builds them a house that they can live in, ends homelessness. But no,
Yeah.
of course not. But
Okay.
ridiculous, absolutely fucking ridiculous. We're gonna be right back. I have to switch the things because we can only do 40 minutes at a time. So we'll be
Okay.
right back. Hello, we're back. Welcome. Hi.
Yep.
Yeah, so my turn. Half a segue because it still pertains to what you were saying. I saw a video. I made a TikTok about it, and I'm talking about it here. UN chief says we are now entering what's called global boiling, 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 because of how high the temperatures were, which is absolute and utter horse crap. It's just more panic-inducing lingo. They're saying that we've entered the point of no return, right? And the planet is starting to boil, whatever. Absolute horse crap. I find it to be the dumbest thing ever for a variety of reasons. One, it just because it got hot this year doesn't mean we're going to have necessarily a hotter winter. We may actually have the opposite. We may have an even colder winter. So what are you going to call it? Global freezing? Like the reason why we switched it to climate change instead of global warming is because for that exact reason, climate was changing. It was becoming more drastic. We're getting more tsunamis, hotter weather and colder weather, not just planet warmer. But number 2, because people like him, his age and his demographic and his people are the reason why we're here. They're the ones who made all the pollution and all the factories. They're the ones who helped make these things. They didn't make it, right? Like they're not him specifically, but that generation and the ones before them, they're the ones who caused this. So what do you mean we've entered this? And then he goes on to say, like, tries to put the onus on the public. It's not the public. We get it, right? We all, at least all of us young people, recognize it's the companies. There is no amount of paper strawing instead of plastic straws or metal straws that we can do to reverse climate change, because it's not us. The major pollution comes from the companies cutting corners, selling plastic wraps, and not recycling. 5% of what we recycle in our homes actually gets recycled.
I
5%.
agree. I
No,
agree.
that's a statistic. That's a factual, evident, like
No,
factual.
I said I agree.
It's 5% of what you actually recycle. So you claiming and thinking you're doing a good thing by throwing all this shit in a recycling bin, 5% of it, 95% goes to a landfill. So it's not us because, yeah, okay, oh, it's the consumer and the company. Great. There are people who cannot afford to get beeswax paper wrapped sandwiches because they are $30 for a sandwich this big. And for those who are only listening on other podcasting websites who can't see the video, I'm doing about 6 inches.
What's a beeswax sandwich?
No, it's a form of wrapping. So people,
Oh, okay.
in terms of like healthier non-saran wrap alternatives, there's ideas out there that you can use like beeswax paper. It's paper, but it's, I believe, wrapped in beeswax, and it creates a sealant that's similar to saran wrap in terms of sealing. but healthier because it comes from natural products and biodegradable products.
Mhm.
So I was using that in reference to the fact that like it, yes, there are alternatives that you can use. And oh, if we just stop buying from these companies, that's great. There are people who can't afford. There are people who cannot afford because dollar saran wrap is all that they can afford. And if they don't use the dollar saran wrap, then their food goes bad and then they can't afford to live because they're making that food stretch for a week instead of it being stretched for 2 days. So
Right.
it like it's not as if we're going to, if we as a society are going to make the claim of we have to stop buying these products, there needs to be a community support group. There needs to be foundation set up to support everyone. Like I said before, it's a community effort. So if this is genuinely something that is an issue, and the true answer is we need to stop buying their products, there needs to be a foundation of support that says, if you can't afford because we are boycotting this, we'll help you. We'll help you. It takes a village to help to raise a kid. We will help you. That's what should be done. But we are in a very individualistic country and no one wants to do that, or most people don't want to do that. So the concept of these major guys like this chief UN guy trying to put the onus on the public, saying, climate change, fuck off. Absolutely fuck off to the moon and back. I hate that. And the panic inducing lingo of global boiling. Eat my balls. Eat my entire balls.
Well, we eat cow balls, so somebody may want to eat your balls.
Nice. Nice.
You better not put
Real
that.
nice.
Better not put that out there. A lot of hungry people.
Oh my God. What the hell? Anyways, I meant to bring this up earlier when I said about the housing market. I found an Associated Press article talking about how the average long-term US mortgage rate climbs to 7.1% this week, which is the highest it's ever been in 20 years. Just to further, that was for what I was saying earlier about how, it's not a great situation for us.
Well, you remember, Peter, remember what I said. We are trillions and trillions in debt. The only way to get out of debt is to have inflation. And
yeah, but see, the problem with inflation for a variety of reasons is, one, it never ends, right? So when people say, oh, inflation's down to 2%, it's like that, like, I'm sorry to tell you, when you're like, whatever it is, when your icicle pop goes up from $1 to $1.50 because inflation was so high and now it's down to 2%, that doesn't mean your icicle pop goes down to $1.02. That means it goes up to $1.52. That's how that works. It's going to continue to get more expensive, and it is impossible to keep up with. The concept of inflation is ridiculous. It's insane because
that's what's happening with that dollar. Yeah, it's a problem.
Correct, but that's my point, right? Inflation's running away with the dollar. Doesn't matter how high or low inflation gets. The fact that it's there is a problem. Oh, it's to keep competition. Eat my ass.
Oh, no.
What?
Nothing. I was thinking about what I was going to have for lunch.
So ridiculous, absolutely fucking ridiculous. We're not getting into a capitalism conversation, but
well,
inflation,
Peter, you got to be careful.
Inflation
our
is a problem.
podcast goes to certain places where there might be cannibals. So far, you put out "eat my balls" and "eat my ass." You got to be careful, boy. There's a lot of meat on that skinny body of yours because you're 6'7". You got to be careful. Cannibals who are starving, they'll track you down.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for making me aware of the imminent doom of cannibals. Um, yeah. And anyways, that's where that's going. The last thing that I wanted to bring up was Chat GPT. I found an article talking about how paper exams and because they're trying to ban Chat GPT in colleges because they're trying to Chat GPT proof their assignments. And I
Uh-huh.
just I find it so comical because the problem is the way the school system is structured, it's structured based on passing, failing, and getting answers right rather than understanding the material. And it's tough to say because, like, oh, if you understand the material, then you get the answers right. No shit. But like the school system, education system, college, high school, middle school, all of it, they care more about the grades than they do of these students actually learning. That's been the case for years. I can tell you that firsthand before ChatGPT was a thing. The amount of times that I was able to regurgitate information, but not a single time was the teacher asking or participating in a way that was was meant to develop and create a classroom where people will participate in a more philosophical or more perspective based way. We're just answering questions
Mhm.
for the next test, right? We're
Yeah.
just prepping for the next exam so that we can then put those exams on a national scale so that we can say, look, we're number 57. China's number one. We'll get there someday as competition because it's a bunch of men measuring
Mhm.
dicks. So
Mhm.
like if we focused more on understanding and the class could still be having a grade, right? We could still have a pass fail or a couple of letter grades, but if we had it more solely focused on understanding the material and then how to apply that material, we wouldn't need to Chat GPT proof our assignments. Because I'm sorry to say, Chat GPT has done nothing other than just make cheating popular.
What
But
do you mean
cheating
by
is always
chat GBT?
ChatGPT is an AI software that is an AI software. So you can ask it any question and it'll, if you type it in and say, hey, write me a 6 paragraph response off of the question below, and then you copy and paste the question that your teacher sent you, you do that. And then because they now have AI softwares that can detect AI, you plug that, whatever Chat GPT comes out with, into another AI software that is designed to make it sound more human. And then you submit it. So it takes all of 8 minutes because ChatGPT will type it in seconds. So, but like this is nothing new. People have been cheating since the beginning of school. Like people who want to cheat will cheat. That's how it is.
That is
If you want
true.
to learn, you'll learn. We just it there's a it was like I had a religions of the world class. She said every exam, final, midterm, everything's open notes. Everything's open notes. I will tell you everything just shy of the questions themselves. I may even give you a question or two from the exam before the exams. All I want you to do is show up and participate. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you want to show up just for attendance and go on your phone, don't be disruptive. That's it. That's it. Just don't be disruptive. But please try and participate. And she, when I tell you this was the easiest class in the world, she gave you everything. She gave you the study guide that had every answer on it or like within it. I learned so much in that class. I loved that class because there was no stress and worry of the next exam and what I had to remember. I could participate freely, and I ended up learning more than I would have if I had to do the exams. Sure enough, there were kids that failed the class. They did not passed, failed because they were set on just doing nothing. They didn't show up. When they did show up, they left after attendance. They were determined to fail. Same thing goes for cheaters. you are always going to have the kids who fail, the kids who pass with flying colors, the kids who do average, and cheaters. You're always going to have them. Chat
Mhm.
GPT proofing the class is not the answer, because that cheating proof the class is not the answer, because we just come up with smarter ways to do it and cleverer ways to do it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
because right now there are glasses out there that are coming out where you can use, they're like AI glasses where they can translate, excuse me, what someone's saying in another language, and you see it through the glasses in your language. How hard is it? We already have cameras that can read text and then Google search or take that text off of it and you can copy and paste it into a notes. So we already have that. Just apply that application to a set of glasses. We already have Snapchat glasses where they got cameras. So get those glasses, get that software, and apply it to an AI. Great. Now you can walk into class with a teacher who is of the older perspective or doesn't know the technology, and you go, yeah, I forgot my contacts today. You got the answers right there. Like that, there's so many ways. People will always cheat. So to chat GPT proof your class is just it it's a fruitless endeavor, because it's the same response that we've been doing for generations. Instead, let's try something new. Let's revamp the education system and work towards getting people to understand the material. Because if the worry is no longer to pass, right? Because it's not about, the class is no longer about the grade, the class is about understanding. There won't be as much stress and there will be less cheating, because people won't need to cheat. The reason people are cheating is for a reason. There's a reason why people are cheating. Some do it because they can. Most do it because they're stressed and they need the grade. That's
Yeah.
it.
You know, Peter, uh, about 50 some odd years ago when I was in, oh boy, I hate to even say that, 60 years ago when I was in college and I was in a fraternity, they had a file filled with all kinds of papers, term papers and tests and everything. And I'll never forget how lazy some of my fraternity brothers were. They had a teacher that somebody else had. They'd pull out the test, they'd pull out a paper, and I wouldn't do that. And I used to say to myself, I can't do that because my parents are spending money for me to get an education. That's not an education. And then I remember one of my professors once saying, listen, he goes, I went to college too. He says, and I was in a fraternity too. And I know about your files also. So I know after all these years teaching, I will recognize the same reports, even if you change a few words. And still, after getting these warnings, students or fraternity brothers would still hand in somebody else's paper by changing a few words and still get a failing grade because they were lazy. They thought they could cheat their way through school, or they were afraid not to get a high grade. So
Right.
we
And
just
and
have a
so and the problem is I think too many people are focused on trying to get everyone to pass and give everyone the participation award. And it's like, well, no, you don't have to do that. People are allowed to fail. That's part of the journey, right? They may, because
Mhm.
if they're putting that much effort into cheating and trying to get by, then they don't necessarily need a degree. Maybe they need to go figure out what they really want. Maybe they want to be an electrician and go to a trade school. Maybe they want to
Yeah.
be an artist. Maybe they want to just be an entrepreneur. Quit school. Like, you don't need to be here. That was my favorite thing about college was, and that's why I always tried to pick classes that I wanted to do that also aligned with my degrees, because I'm paying to be here. At high school, I had to go. I wasn't allowed to pick my courses. I had to take whatever, and the teachers were fucking garbage. But at college, I can pick who, when, and where. I,
Mhm.
my money. I say my money is loans, but like I got to pick. If I don't want to be here, I'm wasting my own money. So why be there? So
Mhm.
did what I wanted and went where I wanted and I enjoyed my education for the most part. Some classes I couldn't avoid it, but I was able to learn more because when I was there and I said, man, I really hate this class. It's like, well, but you picked it. And this is, you don't have to be here. But if you're not going to be here, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm not going to do much if I'm not here. So I think I'd rather stay here, put the work in, and keep going.
Mhm.
So, but nonetheless,
Yeah. Okay.
ChatGPT proofing your course is just crap. Everything's going online. Trying to go back to paper is just crap. You're not solving an issue. You're just making it more difficult on everyone and yourself. So whatever,
Okay. Interesting.
it's dumb. But yeah,
So,
to swing it all the way around, no one panic. Well, just observe. Don't panic. If you see stuff going on, great. Research,
e-
do the work, find
evaluate,
reliable sources.
evaluate.
Reliable sources. Yes, evaluate, but reliable sources. Reliable, 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 reliable. Not Joe's Crab Shack and news.com. Actual reliable sources. And then take it with a grain of salt.
Isn't
Because
there a real Joe's Crab Shack that's one of the better restaurants in the United States?
I don't know. I have no
I
idea. I
think
just
there
made
is.
that up.
Oh,
I
I
made
think
that
there
crap up.
is. Oh, I think it's one of the. I might be wrong. I don't know.
No, you
Sounds
might be
familiar.
right. It does sound like something, but I made that up because it's just
Okay.
that's where a lot of these people tend to get their news and their conspiracies from is these fugazi sites that, you know, have no bearing and no weight to them at all. And they're like, no, but see, he's got evidence. And it's a doctored video of whatever, of an alien touching a
Hmm.
construction machine. But yeah, do your research and then also take it with a grain of salt because again, no one's objectively going to give you the full answer. Uh, even the BBC and Associated Press and NPR and PBS, they're not going to be 100% accurate or 100% real because they're humans writing it and they're biased and so on and so forth. But I can promise you, Associated Press, NPR, BBC, and PBS are going to be much more reliable than places like Breitbart, New York Post, CNN, Fox News,
What about YouTube? Do they have
TV
guidelines
show,
for what goes on?
YouTube. That's lawless. I can't. You have to. You will have to develop the awareness to determine whether they're being truthful or not because I can't. There are some really good ones on there. Like I like a YouTuber named CoffeeZilla who does a lot of sort of beat reporting but in depth, and he covers a lot of like YouTube drama with like major YouTubers and influencers. But he's very good in my opinion. I find him to be very very good, and he seems like a very like a true reporter in the sense of he tries to get both parties, he tries to get both sides, he's not afraid to fight, right? Like he's not afraid to give his opinions, but it's very clear when he's showing facts and then he adds his opinions. And I find that quite nice and entertaining because he's able to separate and he's not just flinging his opinions in with facts by saying his opinions are facts. Um,
Okay.
but as for YouTubers, you have to be a little careful because they are still trying to sell the same way all the other news places are. So sensationalizing things is a way of the course. It's par for the course.
Hmm.
Um, so there may be embellishments and there may be some little white lies and little extras here and there that may make the story a little different. But
Okay.
with that,
Yeah. With that, we've come to a close, huh?
we come to a close. No one panic. Research, review, and breathe. Do some meditation. And if you don't believe it because you're a crazy Christian who thinks anything other than Christianity is Satan, pray.
Ha, ha, ha.
So with
Well-
that, we will see you in the next one. I hope you all have a good morning, evening, noon, night,
And stay well.
day, whatever. Stay well, stay healthy.
Be at peace. Peace out.
Peace out.